The shape of a single drop of blood at a crime scene is a literal three-dimensional map that exposes exactly how a crime went down. Bloodstain Pattern Analysis turns what looks like a random, chaotic mess into a step-by-step replay of an event, making it impossible for a suspect to lie about what happened. When blood hits a surface, it rarely just makes a perfect circle. If it hits something rough, the edges of the drop shoot out these little rays called spines. Sometimes the impact is so hard that tiny drops break off from the main drop. The main drop is called the parent stain, and the tiny ones are satellite stains. Just by looking at the shape and stretch of these drops, investigators can figure out the angle of impact. This is where it gets crazy. Analysts can draw straight lines through the long center of all these different blood drops. The exact spot on the floor or wall where all those lines cross is called the area of convergence. It tells them the exact two-dimensional location of the blood source. But they do not stop there. By calculating the angles, they find the area of origin. This is the actual three-dimensional spot in the air where the injury happened. If a suspect claims they were sitting down, but the area of origin is 6 feet in the air, the investigators know they are lying. The patterns also reveal the weapon and the movement. When someone swings a bloody object, blood drops fly off and create a cast-off pattern on the ceiling or walls. You can literally count the number of swings based on these trails. If a bullet hits someone, it creates forward spatter that travels in the same direction as the bullet, but it also creates back spatter. Back spatter flies backward toward the shooter, often landing on their clothes or hands. If the force is extreme, the blood turns into a mist pattern, which is just a spray of microdrops. There are also sneaky little details that tell a huge story. If an analyst finds a bubble ring, which is a literal outline of an air bubble inside a bloodstain, it means the blood was mixed with air. This creates an expiration pattern, proving the blood was coughed or breathed out of the nose, mouth, or a chest wound. Investigators also look closely at smears to see if it is a swipe or a wipe. A swipe happens when a bloody object rubs against a clean surface. A wipe is when an object moves through a wet bloodstain that was already there. Knowing the difference proves the exact order of events. One of the most telling clues is actually the absence of blood, known as a void. A void is a completely clean, blank space in the middle of a massive bloodstain pattern. It means an object or a person was standing exactly in that spot, blocking the blood spray, and was later moved. Even if a criminal thinks they cleaned up the scene perfectly, they are usually wrong. Investigators spray a chemical called Luminol that reacts with the iron inside hemoglobin. If there was blood there, the luminol will exhibit a striking blue glow in the dark, exposing the invisible stains. Blood does not just stain a room, it records the entire event. Every drop, mist, and empty space leaves a permanent signature that tells the truth when nobody else will. Blood pattern analysts use a number of terms to describe bloodstains, how they behave, and the methodology of examining a scene for blood evidence. Here's an illustrated view of these glossary terms. Angle of impact. The angle at which a blood drop strikes a surface. Area of convergence. The area containing the intersections generated by lines drawn through the long axes of individual stains that indicates in 2 dimensions the location of the blood source. Area of origin. The 3-dimensional location from which blood spatter originated. Back spatter pattern. A bloodstain pattern resulting from blood drops that traveled in the opposite direction of the external force applied, associated with an entrance wound created by a projectile. Blood clot. A gelatinous mass formed by a complex mechanism involving red blood cells, fibrinogen, platelets, and other clotting factors. Bloodstain. A deposit of blood on a surface. Bloodstain pattern. A grouping or distribution of bloodstains that indicates through regular or repetitive form, order, or arrangement the manner in which the pattern was deposited. Bubble ring. an outline within a bloodstain resulting from air in the blood. Cast-off pattern. A bloodstain pattern resulting from blood drops released from an object due to its motion. Cessation cast-off pattern. A bloodstain pattern resulting from blood drops released from an object due to its rapid deceleration. Drip pattern. A bloodstain pattern resulting from a liquid that dripped into another liquid, at least one of which was blood. Drip stain. A blood stain resulting from a falling drop that formed due to gravity. Drip trail. A blood stain pattern resulting from the movement of a source of drip stains between 2 points. Edge characteristic, a physical feature of the periphery of a blood stain. Expiration pattern, a blood stain pattern resulting from blood forced by airflow out of the nose, mouth, or a wound. Flow pattern, a blood stain pattern resulting from the movement of a volume of blood on a surface due to gravity or movement of the target. Forward spatter pattern, a blood stain pattern resulting from blood drops that traveled in the same direction as the impact force. Impact pattern, a blood stain pattern resulting from an object striking liquid blood. Mist pattern. A blood stain pattern resulting from blood reduced to a spray of microdrops as a result of the force applied. Parent stain. A blood stain from which a satellite stain originated. Perimeter stain. An altered stain that consists of the peripheral characteristics of the original stain. Plasma. The clear, yellowish fluid portion of blood. Luminol. A versatile chemical that exhibits chemiluminescence with a striking blue glow when mixed with an appropriate oxidizing agent. Luminol is used by forensic investigators to detect trace amounts of blood left at crime scenes as it reacts with iron found in hemoglobin. Platelet. An irregularly shaped cell-like particle in the blood that is an important part of blood clotting. Platelets are activated when an injury causes a blood vessel to break. They change shape from round to spiny, sticking to the broken vessel wall and to each other to begin the clotting process. Pool. A blood stain resulting from an accumulation of liquid blood on a surface. Projected pattern. A blood stain pattern resulting from the ejection of a volume of blood under pressure, such as a spurt or spray. Satellite stain. A smaller blood stain that originated during the formation of the parent stain as a result of blood impacting a surface. Saturation stain. A blood stain resulting from the accumulation of liquid blood in an absorbent material. Serum stain. The stain resulting from the liquid portion of blood, serum, that separates during coagulation. Spatter stain. A blood stain resulting from a blood drop dispersed through the air due to an external force applied to a source of liquid blood. Spines. A blood stain feature resembling spokes or rays emanating out from the edge of a blood drop. They result from the drop contacting a non-smooth surface. Splash pattern. A blood stain pattern resulting from a volume of liquid blood that falls or spills onto a surface. Swipe pattern. A blood stain pattern resulting from the transfer of blood from a blood-bearing surface onto another surface, with characteristics that indicate relative motion between the two surfaces. Transfer stain. A blood stain resulting from contact between a blood-bearing surface and another surface. Void. An absence of blood in an otherwise continuous blood stain or blood stain pattern. Wipe pattern. An altered blood stain pattern resulting from an object moving through a pre-existing wet blood stain. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have more forensic learning material to show you soon. Please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Thank you.